Hi, how's it going? Oliver Carlin here. So would you like to look over my shoulder and see how I utilize Zillow to accurately determine the value of my property within as little as 10 minutes without having to spend $400 on appraisal or even speak to a real estate agent? Well, stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. So pretty much now what we're going to be doing is you're going to be looking over my shoulder. I'm just going to show you what I do to go through Zillow to pretty much get the same exact results that I get from the MLS. If you've already watched the video where I use MLS, it's going to be a lot of similar things, except you're going to see how I do it on Zillow now. Now Zillow it's a little bit less accurate than the MLS, but I mean it still gets me within a few $1,000s of what the MLS will get me on average. So that's my experience. I know a lot of people will tell you don't use Zillow, but overall I've gotten decent results with Zillow. So I'm going to go ahead and show it out there, throw it out there. That way you can use this if you really don't want to speak to an agent. You can still really get a very close value of your property. So, all right, so let's go ahead and jump in.
Okay, how's it going? So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to determine the value of your property with the Property Value Estimator without using MLS and without using a real estate agent. Now, just so you know that this tactic is the second best option. Your MLS database from your agent is going to be the best, most accurate way, because everything typically that's getting bought or sold is going through MLS. Not everything, but like 99% of everything. Now, Zillow won't be as accurate as MLS. However, from my history, and my experience with using Zillow, it's been like 95% accurate. I mean, it's not that far off from the MLS. It seems like almost everything that's listed in MLS these days is listed in Zillow. So this would give you a pretty good estimate of the market by using Zillow. However, if you want it to be more accurate, then I recommend using MLS. However, so here we are in Zillow. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it. So what I do with Zillow is you just come up here and you would just search for your city and maybe even your address or whatever in here when you get to Zillow, and just click search, and it's going to pop up a window that looks something like this. So let's just pretend I searched for my address, and let's say my address was somewhere around here. Okay, so what I would do right now is the first thing I'd do is I'd want to look over here at the sold comps. So I'd go over here to listing type. I'd get rid of the for sales, get rid of the potential listings, and I'd go straight to recently sold. Now that's going to be a lot of stuff. So what you're going to have to do now is go to more, and you're going to say only in the last 90 days, because that's all you're going to care about. Now, the cool thing about the square feet option is this is where you can input the numbers for the square feet. Now, let's say that your house is 2,000 square feet, okay, and we want to go plus or minus 10% of 2,000 square feet. So if you pop up your little calculator here and you did 2,000 times 0.1 is 200. So 200 square feet plus or minus, right? So 1,800 or 2,000. So technically right here, I could go ahead and say I'm only interested in anything that was at least 1,800, but no more than 2,200. And that should be good. So we hit apply. And you can see that changes the numbers quite a bit. So what this is pretty much is, this is almost like a CMA that you would get from your real estate agent on MLS database. And what you would do, if this was my house here, I'd say, okay, well, I'd start with this one and I'd take a look, and let's say mine's 3 bedroom, 2 baths. So that's still 1 up or 1 down on the beds and baths. So I could use that one, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, or 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath. So this gives you an idea of right next to your house, what has recently sold. And what you can do is, let's just take this one. you'd open it up and you'd say, okay, now this one, it's a beautiful home and sought after Indian Lakes on the corner, it's detached shed, So we know this is a single family home. We know this is, I always look to see if it's attached or detached because that's a big deal, but you can tell by the pictures this is not a townhome. So it's detached. Parking garage. So this gives you an idea, and I'd take a look at the lot size and think about what my lot size is. It gives you an idea of what the yard is, how big the yard is. And so I would say, okay, this one's looks pretty similar. Now let's take a look at the pictures. Nice floor, looks like it's got some kind of a marble countertop. It looks clean inside. That's pretty nice there, the closet there. See what else we got. Looks like a fridge, and that's pretty much all you're getting on this one. So I would say, if I was to say, okay, yeah, this one's pretty similar, I would just come over to my thing. This was sold for $272. The square footage on this one was 1995, and we would keep doing that. We'd close this one, and then we'd go to the next one, right? We'd look at this one. This was great value, well maintained, sought after neighborhood. So this one, updated master bathroom, only 2 years old. HVAC's only 2 years old. So this gives you an idea that one, you come down, you can see that this is not a townhome, and then you would just kind of look. This one's gonna got like a Formica countertop. Nice big backyard here with a little playground thing, patio. So we could say, okay, this one's pretty similar to ours, and we could say, okay, so 276, 213, square footage is 2031, and there's your second one, right? And you know, another thing I like to do too is I'll zoom out a little bit and say, okay, around my house, what was the cheapest one that has sold? And I'd kind of skim through them just to see. Here's one for $189, and I try to keep it within a mile radius, and this is less than a mile. So we were looking at 272, 276. I like to look. The highest one I see is 300,000. So that gives me an idea of the highest price range around my house, 305 there. So the highest we see is 305, and then I like to see the lowest. Well, this was probably like, I don't know what the 1.6 they're doing. Sometimes they price a rent thing on here. So you have to you can see it though, they stand out. So the lowest one I see, here's one for 177, 189, 166. So based on that data there, it looks like the lowest one we have is this 166 one here. And so I would click on it and I'd be like, why did this one sell for 166? It says to include da, 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 da. So you can't really tell there what they're saying. But if you look, this one's got nice countertops, nice house. Beautiful. Very nice house. Nice yard. It looks like the fence there might have needed some cleaning up. But when you look at that, it kind of like... Now this one doesn't have a lot that I'd like to show you. But based on this, the lot's really small compared to the other one, so that could have something to do with it. Really small yard. But that gives you an idea. I look at the lowest and I say, okay, well that was the lowest. Let me look at the second lowest. And remember, these are further away, so it could have something to do with the area. This one doesn't tell me anything. It's a new construction. So this was a new construction. Sold for 177. So again, I'm not getting much data from that one either. It's hard to tell why that one's brand new house is selling for 177. That's kind of odd. But anyway, everything else seems to be making sense. Here, this one's super small lot, right? 2,000 square feet. The house is only 19. This might be a townhome. Attached, yeah, see, this is a townhome. So that gives you an idea. Okay, this one sold for 189, but it's a townhome. The other two we couldn't really get too much info on. So that gives you kind of an idea of where we're at based on the prices of the house in the area. And this is kind of what you do. You just get an idea, okay, this is your area. This is everything around your house. And you just kind of go through. I start from the closest and work my way out. And then I look for any, things like we just looked, just the high and the lows of the area. And that's kind of what you do. Now, we'll go ahead and look at the actives. So for the actives, if we'll just say I found a couple more, I plugged them in here. And you just plug them in there. Now for the actives, I would just come up to for sale, potential listings, get it recently sold. Now for these, I don't care about the last 90 days. It can be on Zillow any number of days. If it's active and pending, it can be anything. The square footage, I'd keep that the same, and I hit apply. So we'd come in here, and now we got a whole different set of numbers. And it's pretty much the same game. Here's a pending one for 167. Now that's pretty close, but it's a foreclosure, so you know that probably a fixer-upper. The blue ones, I think, are foreclosures. So we're not interested in the foreclosures, so I would get rid of foreclosures because that's not what you're looking for. And I wouldn't look at foreclosed or pre-foreclosure. Well, pre-foreclosures might be okay. But typically, you'd normally just be looking at the actives. But yeah, so here's one. It's another foreclosure, pre-foreclosure one. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it could need some work. You're not going to get much info on the pre-foreclosures. Now, the ones that are actively listing, these are on the up and up. Everything's fine with them. So you would kind of skim through these. The 172, this is right on a road here. But you can see, like, when you look at these foreclosures, you can see that these are not going to sell as much because they just need work. No one's cleaning them up. No one's staging them nice. So if you want to get a realistic idea, you're probably going to want to stick with the red dots and look at these ones. And you can say, okay, here's one that's for sale. And you would just kind of do the same thing. Just skim through them, look, see if they're similar to what yours is. And just kind of get an idea by looking at them. And you would find, if you say we found one here, we just copy the price over to our active listings and copy the square footage, 2035. And then that would be that. And again, I would do the same thing here. I'd look at the low and the high. If you wanted to get rid of the pre-foreclosures and just look at the red dots and say, okay, these are, oh, you know what? That was potential. Yeah, and those were potential listings. You're probably not too interested in potential listings. I would just look at the actives here. They'll still show pending. If they're pending, they'll show up in the actives. And you just kind of look and see, if there's anything standing out that's really low. Here's a 205 one. There's a 315 one. That's pretty high. 349. That's pretty close to the property. 330. The 349 one would be like, wow. And you would kind of look. I bet you this one's got, it's 212 days on Zillow, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because Zillow, it's not, the days on Zillow is sometimes off, but 212 tells you that they probably got this thing priced too high anyway. But you can see on the inside, beautiful house. Just beautiful house, right? That's why it's priced so high. But the question is, in the area, is it actually going to be able to sell for that high? What did the Zillow say the Z estimate was on it? 334, you know. So anyway, that gives you an idea there. And you can kind of just take a look at these. 250. It's a townhouse. So there you go with your townhouse. You wouldn't use that one. Anyway, you would just kind of do this, go through these and fill these in. Now, so you'd have your sold comps, you'd have your active comps filled in, and this would give you an idea. Okay, well, my house based on this is worth $272,000 for solds, $271 for actives. I would take the lower of the two because that's probably going to be more accurate. Now, when I'm listing this, I would throw in a 3% cushion. This would just give you like your buffer here. That way you know, well, I can negotiate 8,000 down, and you could price it a little higher, right? Because that's what everyone does. They price it higher and they come down. And there you go. That'd give you your 279 for the price that you would actually list it at. And that's kind of how you do it. That's how you would go through Zillow, find your actives, your solds, fill them in, make sure they're nearest to your property as possible, and you would get a pretty accurate estimated value of your property doing this. This is pretty much the same thing an appraiser is going to do. Appraisers will do a little bit more. They'll look at the actives and solds within a mile, and they'll look at the insides, the pictures like we did. And if they might subtract or add a few thousand here and there based on if you have any upgrades compared to what all the actives had. But overall, this will be a pretty darn accurate way for you to know how to price your home without ever even talking to an appraiser. Anyway, I hope you found this useful, and if you did, go ahead and use my tool to find the property value of your house, and go ahead and share it on Facebook, and if you have any questions, just comment below. All right, I wish you the best of luck in selling your house. Take care, and have a great day.